Welcome to today's weekly office hour calls. We do this every single Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Central, or 1 p.m. market time. This is where we are going to cover a lot of things from what is the market doing right now. We're going to cover things like the best bots working, how we can adjust our portfolios, and if we should. And of course, I'm going to answer your questions as Oat Unlimited members. It is my opportunity and pleasure to get to answer any questions you guys have. This is our first call of 2026, and I'm so glad you guys are here. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat, and I will make sure to get to you first. As always, I'm going to go to a market breakdown, then talk about some bots. But welcome in Bobby, David, Kale, Lane, Trone, and Trushot. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know we're in a new place, Discord, different time this year. We used to do it on Thursdays, now we're on Wednesdays, but glad you guys are here. So diving into it here before I get into a screen share, but if we look at the market using our market analysis indicator, which using math tells us what the trend is for the market, we can look at the market trend and understand that we are currently in a bullish market, right? We are in this green zone of the band. This is where the market will spend 80% of its trading life inside of this bullish zone. Now, what I did want to note, and I did note in my year-end training that I put together, is that the market typically stays in this bullish green zone, if we look at it historically speaking, for about 2 years, okay? We are now over a year, right? We're pushing into a year and a couple months of being in this green trend, which is great, but it means that we probably only have 4 to maybe 8 months, somewhere in there left for a good solid uptrend before we have a nice retracement. So do I expect bullishness this year? Yes, for the first half of this year, I do expect us to continue to see bullish action, but we'll just have to watch the market every single week as we do that. So my thoughts is we are still bullish, but as always, we need to watch the market in its zones. We currently have a high that's around the 679, around $700 level. That is going to be the resistance we want to break. We break above that, we're going to continue moving higher in the market. If we break below 670, which is our current support level, then we'll probably make a move lower. But right now, we are having a bit of a red day today, but we are still staying in between those two zones. So I am still overall bullish until we break down fully. If we look at the top bot so far for this month and this week, there are some very cool things to draw from this. Now, if you go to the options auto trader page, there's a leaderboard. I took a screenshot of it, but I'll share my screen here in a second. But if we look at the top bots for this month, the top 2 bots of this month making Key, I won't say his last name, but I know him. He's one of our members here, is made $5,260. And we have another one, Rick, who made Put Spread Gold. Both of these are bullish strategies. Put credit spread is a simple risk-defined trade, both on gold. So what does this mean? If we have 3 top bots so far for this month, and 2 of them, so 67% of them are on gold, that should be a lesson we look at. Now, I cover this in other trainings inside of our advanced programs for you Oat Unlimited members, so please go check out those private trainings in there. But once your account starts to scale that 100K, particularly past the $200,000 mark, I really love diversifying bots across different asset classes. Up until 100,000, all your money should be in one primary bullish and bearish complementing bot. So you should basically be running a Ready, Steady, Retire, put credit spread as your main bullish, and you should be running a bearish protection bot. And that's basically your core portfolio. And that can easily take you from 25,000 up to 100 grand over the next few years. And that's basically the bot you should go for. But as you start scaling 100 plus 200 for sure, then what you want to do is keep those core bots that got you there, but layer on the same bot. So let's say Ready, Steady, Retire bot, or put credit spread bot just for different assets. And I've mentioned things like gold being a great one, as well as ZB, using bond futures as well as another way to just get you that same, just getting all your money deployed, but making sure it's allocated across different asset classes. Anyway, so I just wanted to point that out, that the 2 top bots so far this month, again, we still have 2 more weeks to go, are on gold. If you haven't done that, please look into that as adding at least 1 contract or so there if your account is above 200,000, things like that. All right, sweet. So those are the things I wanted to cover. Market breakdown. Again, we are always here for you, which means to answer your questions. So whether you want to talk about market stuff, whether you want to talk about bots, that is what I am here for. So let's break it down. Who has the question first? Please put it in the Q&A, or I should say the webinar chat or the webinar Q&A. And I'll make sure to get to it. Okay, I see a question coming up here in the Q&A by Trushant, which says, for your new futures put credits for a bot, can we walk through how you can tweak the bot settings so that the average win and average loss are roughly equal, just like the futures bot 111? Yeah, let's for sure do that. Okay, so what he's talking about here is if we go to create auto trader, underneath pick an auto trader, there's an options bot portfolio section, which has the default portfolio. This is what I've been running for literally the last almost over a year now. And it's made me, if you saw my recap in one account, made me about $21,000 last year alone. Combined, I think I made about 40 something thousand just using this default portfolio. So it's a very great portfolio. If you saw in the year end recap, my problem was that the futures bullish bot, although great, does have a lot of risk exposure, which means that when you're running this, you can open yourself up to a lot of losses. And I didn't want to do that. However, I still love the spots. Last year, I basically had 5 to 6 of these trades open at any given one time. Now I'm still running that. I'm just limiting it to 2 trades a month. So that means 1 trade every other week. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I love this trade. It generates about $1,000 profit for me per trade, but I want to limit my risk on that. That's why I'm running that. And then to make up, I'm using a futures put credit spread bot where I know my risk is defined. So let's talk about that. Okay. So what he wants to know is, can we take this bot and can we make sure that our win and our loss is the exact same? There's definitely easy ways to do this, but that's when it comes in. Is it worth it to do it? Okay. So let's walk through this. If I click on start using this bot, obviously preloads all the settings for us. So if I go back here to the management rules, we have 50% take profit and early management 21. Now, why do I run it this way? There's a lot of TC Live studies that show if you allow early management at 21 days, it statistically gives you a higher win rate and also decreases your max drawdown. Why? Because you're giving yourself more time in the trade to be right. And since this is a 90 DTE trade, we have so much time. We're between day 90, which is roughly when we get into the trade, and day 21, where we'll get out. So we have roughly 70 days, over 2 months, to have this trade work out in our favor, which is why our win rate goes up, which is why our losses go down, because theta decay, even if we're losing, is going to help us by decreasing our losses over time. So when I am working with a bot, or particularly an option strategy that has a defined risk to it, or the risk is capped, aka a spread or condor or something like that, then I want to bias or lean towards early management. And then I manage my max risk based on the spread distance. So that's exactly what I did here. Okay. As you can probably see here, if I go back, I limited here my strike offset to 75, which means that my max risk on any one trade is about $3,000. And I'm going, Austin, how do you get to that math? If we're 75 as the strike offset, we multiply that by 50 because the multiplier for ES is 50, which gives me a max risk of $3,750. So around $4,000 is my max risk per trade. So I'm using strike offset, aka the distance of the spread, as a way to control my risk. And then so I can stay in that trade longer. That's why I'm using early management instead of a stop loss. So I hope that makes sense. When I have a spread, I'm going for early management. When I don't have a spread, I am definitely putting a stop loss on that. So that's why you'll see on my 111 trades, it's an undefined trade. So there's a stop loss on it. Okay. All that to say, I gave you a lot of background info. Sorry, that's not the question. The question was, how can I make these the same? When you run a back test where you have a 50% take profit at 21, the numbers that I showed you are the numbers that you get right here. You get a $500 average win and a $2,300 average loss with a 93% win rate, which is incredible. The closer we move these things to each other, aka the closer our win rate and our loss are to the same amount, the lower our win rate will be. So you can see here, these are closer to each other, but it's an 82% win rate. Okay. So just understand that there's a relationship here between the win amount and loss amount and win rate. As your win rate and loss rate become the same, your win rate comes down. So the closer they are to each other, the closer to 50% the win rate will be. If you look at something like a daily income bot, these are very close to each other. It's a 62% win rate. So the bigger the distance, typically the higher. You can see the ETF bullish bot as well, 554, 250, 91% win rate. Things like that. Just something good to keep in mind that as I show you how to adjust these numbers to get the same win and same loss amount, you will be decreasing your win rate. So just know that you will be losing more than probably I would with this setup. Okay. Now, the easiest way to make your win amount and your loss amount the same is by taking the take profit and stop loss to the exact same amount. Funny enough, now I have 50% take profit, 50% stop loss. Now the take profit and stop loss are the exact same. You can extend this out to be as much as you want. Maybe you want to do 75 and 75. This would make it 75. So let's say we take in $1,000 of credit, right? That means we had a $750 profit. We take the profit. If we had a $750 loss, it would take it. But since we're roughly equal, that's going to put our win rate closer to that 50, 60% range. So just keep that in mind. If you want to run the strategy the best way it's meant to be run, then you want to run it by managing your risk based on the spread and then having 21-day early management. That's how the strategy really succeeds. And that's why it's put in this portfolio here that I have, which again, futures bullish spot, running 2 of these per month. This is going to generate about 2,000 a month. I'm running this about 3 times per week, every single week. So I'm having about six or so trades on of this, and each one's going to generate this. So this one's going to generate about 3,000. So I have my 2,000 profit from here, my 3,000 profit from here. And then this obviously was going to make me the bulk of my money. I have bearish as a protection, and then optional here, you can do a VIX spike bot as well that you can do, which is quite interesting. Something that I've been playing with. I'll share more once I have more stats, but this is fun. Basically, whenever VIX spikes more than 10% intraday, you're going to buy a put. And yeah, I back tested over some time. It works decently, but I'm looking forward to see the real live data. Once I have that, I'll share more about it. Okay, cool. That was that one. Sorry for such a long explanation. I hope that was useful. All my talking. Again, it's been a while since we've been on here live today, which I'm super excited for. Glad we're able to do this again. We'll do this once a week, every single Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central. Anyways, let me get to Bobby's question in the chat. Bobby says, can you talk about your portfolio? I see your $200,000 portfolio is up and running. Percentages. Yeah, just got it up and running. So not really much to tell from it yet. Again, a month in, I'll do a month recap, 2 months in, 3 months in, 4 months in. Essentially, it's the same exact portfolio I was running last year. You can look at the portfolio I was running last year, which was simply a futures bullish bot, a bearish bot, and a daily income bot. Okay. Daily income bot can work great, brings you daily activity, helps people who have ADHD stay focused and let their long-term bots run, no problem. If you watched the year-end recap, you saw I just never been a fan of 0 to 1 DT, but I did feel the pressure to provide one of those bots for you guys since it was highly requested by almost everyone. So I did it. I'm taking this out of my portfolio though. I'm keeping the futures bullish and I'm keeping the bearish because these are the core to any options bot portfolio. And then what I'm doing is to limit my risk. I'm only having 2 of these run at one time. And then these I'm having about 6 or 7 to make up for that, but my risk is capped. So I'm okay and comfortable with all these trades hitting the loss at once, right? If I have 6 trades and each of them has a $4,000 max loss, given that spread amount that I made, then that means I'm going to lose 24 grand on this, which given the 200K account, that's about 10-12% loss, which I'm totally okay with. That's worst case scenario. But still, this will generate me anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 a month, which will be pretty great. Then again, I have the bearish spot here and another protection here. I hope that answers the questions. Let's see what else do I get from the chat. Trone says, buy a put or sell a put for VIX spike. VIX spike, you're definitely buying a put. Again, I'm talking about intraday here. So if we look at it, oops, I have TradingView up already. Let's pull it up. Pull up VIX. If we're looking at the VIX chart here, you can see VIX. It's already gone up about 10.27% today. So you can see that when it goes up, it tends to have a decent spike. Again, you can also make it greater, right? So, hey, if VIX is above 30, right? Like 30 would be crazy. Let's say 26, right? If VIX is above 27, right? And it's up high, then you could definitely sell puts, right? For this data decay, for the not data decay, for the volatility contraction. You could do that for sure. But mine is mainly like in this low zone when VIX spikes up more than 10% in a single day, then you can just buy a put for 3 days and ride it out. Right, you can see here we have a huge spike, and within 3 days it goes up. Big spike, 3 days goes up. Again, not 100% by any means, but it does bring some extra flexibility there. You can see just trading this with SPY, you have an average loss of about $200. You'll win about $500 per contract, 37% win rate. So obviously not the most successful trade. If you want some protection, that's there, optional. As something to look at. As always, when you're building these portfolios, you just want one core bullish, one core bearish, running the bullish and bullish markets and the bearish and bearish markets, but using our trend following system built into it. It works out great. What's the question here? Again, guys, I've been running this default portfolio for a while now. In all the data, I went through all the metrics of it at the end of year report. As I get more on this new portfolio, which is essentially the same, I'll share that with you in each of the monthly ones. Trushan says, thanks for the explanation of the futures BCC. Two questions. The stats shown, how many trades have you actually done on this bot live to evidence these stats, or are these stats solely based on a paper back test so far? Great question. These here, all the stats you see here are based on a 15-year back test. So again, you're going to have to do live testing to see how that actually works. Obviously, we're only 2 weeks into the year. I don't have many trades to show. As I have more trades to show, I will definitely show it. You guys know what I do, where I let these bots run, I let them make money or not, and then I show you this is what happened, this is what didn't. And so if you want to see those for previous bots that I've done, like in last year, you want to see my futures bullish performance bot. All those are in those private trainings in Discord. It says this bot enters on Wednesday only, right? Yeah. So it really just depends on. So the default doesn't factor in how much buying power you have, what your goals are. It's just generic, right? I'm entering this bot basically every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and letting it run that way. So again, you can come in. It's pretty standard for you. But if you have enough capital, like I have a decent amount of capital that needs to be deployed to this bot. So I do multiple times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that's kind of how I run it. Yeah, that's how I'm doing it. Let's see what other questions we got here. Bobby says, if you turn off a bot, will the settings still work on open trades? Absolutely. When you're working with bots, having the bot turned on simply means that it will enter in new trades. If you turn the bot off, it will stop entering new trades. But any open trade you have here will still actively be managed. So all your open trades will actively be managed based on your rules. Don't worry about that. It's all kept safe. Turning it off and on just simply decides if it's going to enter more trades or not. David says, the bots trading gold, are they available for us to use? Of course, they're available for you guys to use. You guys aren't limited by this. So if you go into the options auto trader, you want to copy this one, for instance, there's a lot of gold ones here. We have put spready gold. This one's a gold one. This one's a gold one. I forget who used it first. One of our members inside of the inner circle, maybe it was Key, maybe it was someone else, somebody, I forget who, maybe it was Scott. One of you guys created the gold bot and it did very well. Here, we can even look back in December to see who did it, who done it. Let's see. We can't even find it anymore. Oh, there it was, Mid Hat. Or was it Mid Hat? No, Mid Hat did the fly. Anyways, I'll figure it out later. But one of you guys put together this extra juicy one. Might have been Key, or I should say Kai, his name. Yeah, it shows us. So yeah, it was probably Kai. And then I told you guys about it, and then you guys went and copied it. So we got to put spready gold now. And then we have this one, which was probably directly copied because it's the same name. But yeah, just click on it, click on import bot, and you can import that bot and all the settings and rules. David, if you want to go use that, for sure, go use it. I always recommend, or at least it's just fun for me. What I do is at the end of every month. You can also do this at the end of every week. Just take all these top 3 bots, add them, throw them into your paper account, and just let them run. And then after a month, if you see one, they're like, wow, that really worked well, then just move that from your paper to your live. And that's basically the process. Just, hey, once a month, these are the top 3, add them to your paper, let them run for a bit, and then move them to your live account. Yep. Let me see. Any other questions for now? No? Awesome. Sweet. All right. Here, Bobby has another question, which is, what are the recommended percentage allocations, for example, running a bullish and bearish? Yeah, so all this is inside of the training. So I go to resources and Discord. You can go here inside of Inner Circle training library. There's Inner Circle trainings here, which you can check that out, as well as onboarding here, the options bot portfolio training. This one is super in depth, which talks about allocation, risk, everything. So if you haven't yet, go check those out. It just clearly outlines our methodology and process for how we do everything. But anyway, since we're on here, let's dive into it also to cover it as well. But just want to make sure that you have another place to reference it after this call. So the way that we run it is we run it based on a 30, 40, 50 system. So let me pull up a drawing tool. So I always start off with 100 grand. If I have 100 grand, don't worry. It's just for easy numbers. Okay. So 100 grand, we use a 30, 40, 50% system. You never want to put all your money into trades just because of buying power changes, risk, etc. So if you're lower risk, you'll probably use 30% of your account. Medium risk will use 40%. Higher risk will use 50%. Me, I land around the 40% mark, which means 40% of my funds are always in trades. So that means $40,000 needs to be allocated to trades. Of that, I basically like to use all my money inside my two core bots. And so for me, it's actually split into three, but I need a bullish bot and a bearish bot. And so bullish and bearish. Now, the thing is, each of these bots will both get the whole 40K. Okay. So bullish will get 40K and bearish will get 40K because I'm assuming you're using our rules, which is our allocation, which means that if I turn on this, means that when we're in this zone, we're trading bullish. When we're in this zone, we're trading bearish. So we're not going to have both bots running at the same time necessarily, unless we're in this zone. And we can apply the same allocation to each. And inside of here, if I go down to create auto trader, you'll see that the portfolio bots actually have this built in. If I click on start using this bot, go back a little bit to trend following rules. You can see here it has the bot type, and most importantly, it has enable automatic buying power, which means that if we set both the bullish and bearish to 40,000, it will change the buying power that is allowed to be used based on the trend we're in. Okay. So that means that if we're in a point where we're all bullish, it will allow the bullish to use all the 40,000. If it's in a point where it's all bearish, it will allow the bearish to use all 40,000 and none for the bullish, of course. And then if we're in a point where there's overlap, right, where we're overextended to the high side, we're trading both bullish and bearish, it's going to give like, half the funds to the bullish, half to the bearish. So basically, in order to do it, you just set the 40,000 to the bullish and you set the 40,000 to the bearish. And then if you have enabled automatic buying power under trend following rules, then it will be set for you. So that's how you split it up. But in my case, I have two of these. And so I'm running one trades per month. So basically, I only ever have two trades open. And so in that case, each trade takes about 7,000. Just for easy, I have 15 grand here in my ready, steady, retire bot or futures bullish bot, whatever you want to call it, the 111 bot. Then the rest, so that comes out to what, 25K? Yeah, that checks out. I say 25K because remember I said I have 6 trades running about 4,000 risk each. And that means that I'm at around the 24,000, 25,000 buying power. So like that. Yeah. So this is the allocation. 40,000 to bearish, 15 here, 25 here. If you're just running one bullish, it's all 40K. Again, running only one bullish is completely fine. You don't need to split it up like I am. I'm just talking about it from a risk perspective, and that's why. Yeah, that's the goal. If you want to learn more about the breakdown, again, in those private trainings, you can watch the recap of my bots performance of 2025, which I think I made about 40 something $1,000 last year from bots. So really good total, including losers and winners, because obviously the daily income wasn't doing too well for me at the end of last year. And then my plans for this year. So all that's in the private training inside Discord. Another one is remind me, how do you move a bot from paper to live? Great question. Super easy. So like I mentioned, I personally love just going into the leaderboard, adding in the top bots into my paper and watching them perform. Once I have a bot that works well, the bots made money. For instance, let's go to this one right here, the 112. Sorry, Zoom stuff is in my way. If I come here and it's made, I think it's made over $1,000, it'll prompt you right here to duplicate it into a live account. But if you don't see this, just the share button, click on that, click on duplicate auto trader, and you just tell it which broker account you want to put it in, and it'll copy all the settings straight over into that other account so that you can move it from a paper account to a live account, or from a live to a live, whatever it is you want to do. Another question here is, let's say you're working with a total pot of 50,000 to work with. How would you split that allocation between the futures bullish, futures PCCS, and bearish bot? I wouldn't. Again, you shouldn't be playing with multiple bots, as in more than 2 bots, until you're over 100, particularly over 200,000. There's just no point. Okay. So if you have $50,000 to work with, you just pick one bullish, one bearish. That's it. I have people doing that right now on 25 grand accounts, 50 grand accounts, and they're doing great. Okay. Don't overcomplicate it. You need a bot for bullish trending markets and a bot for bearish. So if we're going to break this down for you, for your example, if we have 50,000 here, sorry, it's a terrible money sign, but it's hard to draw here. 50,000, we're going to split between two. Let's say you have a smaller account, you're comfortable doing more. Let's say you want to do a 50% allocation. I don't know what your allocation is, but I'm going to assume it's 50% just for math example. You can adjust it how you want, but that means 25,000 is being put into bots. That means you have 25K into a bullish, 25K into a bearish. Your bearish is going to be your normal 30 DTE put, whatever. And then again, using our bearish portfolio, and then your bullish, you would decide either you want a futures bullish or you want a futures put credit spread. If you're doing the futures bullish bot, the 111 bot with 25 grand, you're probably 7 times. You're doing 2 or 3 trades open at any one time. It's going to be your limit. If you're doing the put credit spread, you're probably going to have 8 to 9 somewhere in there trades open at any given time. No, depends on how you structure the spread, right? So probably 6 to 8, depending on your spread width. So just pick one bullish, one bearish, rock and roll. That will get you from your 50K to 100K in a couple of years, probably 4 years. Again, no promises on that. I can't promise anything. I'm just saying. But yeah, you'll get to 100 grand. Once you break 100 grand, can add in another bot. But just remember, the simple typically does best. Okay. When you overcomplicate things, it gets confusing, too many stuff going on. Keep it simple. Follow the trend, which is what our system does for you as an unlimited member. You get access to the trend following settings. So you can use those to automatically switch between bots to make sure you're in line with the market at all times. You have one solid bullish, one solid bearish. As you scale past 100, you can add in another bot. Some people add in a biweekly rainmaker, something like that. And as you pass 200, then you'll start diversifying it across asset classes. But around anywhere under 100, one bullish, one bearish. Even if you're over 100, you can do one bullish, one bearish if you just want to keep it simple and rock and roll. I just love the 1-on-1, but I don't like the risk. So I only have a couple on, and then I still want to deploy my funds. That's where it goes. Now, for those of you wondering who haven't watched the training yet inside of Discord about what do I do with the extra funds? Because if we have a 100K account here and we're only using 40,000, what happens to the 60 not being used? Well, we split this. We have 30K, 30K. Why do we split it? We always want some funds in cash so that we can either deploy or use for buying power expansion. You just always want some cash in the account. And then the other 30K you can put into a money market account, into T-bill, which pays out monthly. It's currently about a 3.89 interest rate per year, which is pretty good. And it's very liquid. You can get in and out of that as you wish. And it pays monthly dividends. That's what I do. So now, you have money safely generating interest, return. You have cash set aside side to keep yourself safe. And then you have the money deployed to trades. Perfect. Any other questions for the first live Q&A of 2026? So Bobby, David, Kalen. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'll get it. Paul, Trone, and Trushat. Thank you guys for being here. Covered a lot. Don't worry, this replay will be up in Discord in a few hours after this ends. But other than that, any final questions? Nope. All right. Oops. Thank you guys so much for joining. As always, we will do this. The new schedule for this year. The schedule for this year is every single Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. market time. Save that time. Be here, be square. It's going to be super fun. We can always talk about the market, bots, adjustments, all that stuff. As we get further into the year, we'll talk about bot performance. At the beginning of every month, you will get a bot portfolio review from me sent to your email. So look out for that the first of the month. For now, if you need any help, put a question in Discord. That's where I look at daily to help you guys out. Other than that, see you guys next Wednesday. The replay will be up soon. Have a great day. Bobby, David, Galen, Trone, Trusant, thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Trone says thanks, and thank you to YouTube. All right, let's go.